Hello everyone, my name is Deepthi and today we are going to read one of the very beautiful book that is Mindset, which is being written by Dr. Carol Dweck. So this is the million copy bestseller book and this is the updated edition which is I'm going to read today. So today we are going to learn these things on my channel, discover new things. So जैसा कि मैंने आपको बताया कि इस बुक के माध्यम से हम एक माइंडसेट बुक के बारे में पढ़ेंगे कि किस तरीके से हमारा माइंडसेट डिफर होता है, हम किस तरह से सोचते हैं, हमें क्या क्या चीज़ों हर एक इंसान को उस चीज़ के बारे में सोचना चाहिए, हर स्टेप्स के बारे में क्या उसकी प्रोसेस हो सकती है। इस बुक के अंदर हम वही सारी चीज़ सब कुछ कवर करने वाले हैं। सो एज यू कैन सी ऑन द टॉप इटसेल्फ इट शोइंग माइंडसेट changing the way you think to fulfill your potential. So today I'm just going to cover few section of this, like under this introduction you can see this is why do people differ. So we are going to start with that chapter, so let's get started. Okay, so before I start I just want to give the brief introduction what the author has written about it. So author has started doing this practice when her few of the students asked her to write down a book about her journey and how she made a change in others' life. So now take a look how it has all started. Okay, so starting with chapter 1, the mindsets. When I was a young researcher just starting out, something happened that changed my life. I was obsessed with understanding how people cope with failures, and I decided to study it by watching how students grapple with hard problems. So I brought children one at a time to a room in their school, made them comfortable, and then gave them a series of puzzles to solve. The first ones were fairly easy, but the next ones were hard. As the students grunted, perspired, and told, I watched their strategies and propped up what they were thinking and feeling. I expected differences among children in how they coped with the difficulty, but I saw something I never expected. So during this paragraph, ऑथर ये बोलना चाह रही है कि उन्होंने एक ग्रुप ऑफ द जो स्टूडेंट्स हैं उन सबको बुलाया एक एक करके रूम में स्कूल में, उनको सबको कंफर्टेबल बनाया और उनको कुछ पजल्स दी सॉल्व करने के लिए. पजल्स के डिफरेंट डिफ़िकल्टी लेवल्स थे, कुछ हार्ड थी कुछ इजी थी, एंड वो इन सब चीज़ों के ज़रिए लोगों का स्टूडेंट्स का बिहेवियर चेक करना चाहते थे कि हाउ अगर वो कुछ चीज़ों में डिफ़िकल्टी फाइंड कर रहे हैं तो हाउ दे आर कोपिंग विद दैट फेलियर्स. Confronted with the hard puzzles, one 10-year-old boy pulled up his chair, rubbed his hands together, smacked his lips, and cried out, I love a challenge. Another, sweating away on these puzzles, looked up with a pleased expression and said with authority, You know, I was booping with this would be informative. What's wrong with them? I wondered. I always thought you coped with failures or you didn't cope with failure. I never thought anyone loved failure. Were these alien children or were they on to something? Everyone has a role model, someone who pointed the way at a critical moment in their lives. These children were my role models. They obviously knew something I didn't, and I was determined to figure it out, to understand the kind of mindset that could turn a failure into a gift. So as you can see, ये जो author है, she was very surprised. She was very surprised to check the behaviors of the students. उसने जैसे ही देखा कि शी वॉज एक्सपेक्टिंग कि जो बच्चे हैं उनको ऐसा बहुत अलग एक्सप्रेशंस रहेगा कि वाई दिस पजल्स वर गिवन टू देम, बट यहाँ पर उनका जो एक्सप्रेशन है वो काफ़ी डिफरेंट था. दे वर लविंग द चैलेंजेस. सो नाउ द author wants to check how they have come up into such a different kind of mindsets, how they can see a different view of all these situations altogether, who इज़ द रोल मॉडल ऑफ दिस चिल्ड्रन, कि कैसे इन्होंने अपने माइंडसेट को इस तरीके से चेंज किया कि वो दे आर लविंग द challenges. Let's move on. Okay, what did they know? They knew that human qualities such as intellectual skills could be cultivated, and that's what they were doing, getting smarter. Not only weren't they discouraged by failure, they didn't even think they were failing. They thought they were learning. I, on the other hand, thought human qualities were carved in stone. You were smart or you weren't, and failure meant you weren't. It was that simple. If you could arrange successes and avoid failures at all costs, you could stay smart. Struggles, mistakes, perseverance were just not part of this picture. सो यहाँ पे ऑथर ये बोलना चाह रही है कि उसका माइंड में सिर्फ दो माइंडसेट थे, either you can be smart or you weren't. So means there are two categories, either you are successful or failure means you are not anything, you are just not smart. But now what the behavior of this children had brought into her mind, that nothing is failure, it's just a learning. You just need some extra steps to do a better to do the things in a better way. So this is the qualities, human qualities, that one can cultivate in their own and do the things in a smarter way. And this, whatever the words that we use, mistakes, perseverance, struggles, this is not overall a part of their life. So whether human qualities are things that can be cultivated or things that are carved in stone is an old issue. What these beliefs mean for you is the new one. What are the consequences of thinking that you were intelligence or personality is something you can develop, as opposed to something that is a fixed, deep-seated trait? Let's first look in on the age-old, firstly waged debate about human nature, and then return to the questions of what this belief mean for you. So now, with this incident, she has discovered like what can be the different beliefs of the people, and now she is just grabbing all those points, capturing all those points into the different chapters, and will let you know how it can have impact on your mindset to discover altogether a different personality, something that is very much intellectual and that can grab the user's attention. So now we are starting with this topic, why do people differ? So since the dawn of time, people have thought differently, acted differently, and fared differently from each other. It was guaranteed that someone would ask the questions of why people differed, why some people are smarter or more moral, and whether there are something that made them permanently different. Experts lined up on both sides. Some claimed that there was a strong physical basis for these differences, making them unavoidable and unalterable. Through the ages, these alleged physical differences have included bumps on the skull, phrenology, the size and shape of the skull, cardiology, and today, genes. Others pointed to the strong differences in people's backgrounds, experiences, trainings, or ways of learning. It may surprise you to know that a big champion of this view was Alfred Binet, the inventor of the IQ test. Wasn't the IQ test meant to summarize children's unchangeable intelligence? In fact, no. Binet, a Frenchman working in Paris in the early 20th century, designed this test to identify children who were not profiting from the Paris public schools, so that the new educational programs could be designed to get them back on track. Without denying individual differences in children's intellects, he believed that education and practice could bring about fundamental changes in intelligence. Here is a quote from one of his major books, Modern Ideas About Children, in which he summarizes his work with hundreds of children with learning difficulties. A few modern philosophers assert that an individual's intellectual is a fixed quantity, a quantity which cannot be increased. We must protest and react against this brutal pessimism. With practice, training, and above all, method, we managed to increase our attention, our memory, our judgment, and literally to become more intelligent than we were before. तो ये जो हमने अभी एक पूरा पैराग्राफ पढ़ा है, इसमें जो ह्यूमन क्वालिटीज़ की बात की जा रही थी, तो जो ऑथर ने पहले बताया कि हम किस तरीके से डिफरेंट हो सकते हैं, तो कुछ लोगों का मानना था कि ये हमारे फिजिकल डिफरेंसेस के ऊपर रहता है, कोई ज़्यादा स्मार्ट होता है, कोई कम होता है. देयर कैन बी सम अदर लाइक देयर कैन बी डिफरेंट थिंग्स, लाइक उनके एक्सपीरियंसेस डिफरेंट हो सकते हैं, उनके बैकग्राउंड्स डिफरेंट हो सकते हैं, उनकी ट्रेनिंग्स, उनका द लर्निंग वे कैन बी डिफरेंट. तो इस तरीके से डिफरेंसेस हो सकते हैं. बट देयर वाज अ पर्सन, अल्फ्रेड बिनेट, जो कि हमारे IQ के इन्वेंटर थे. उन्होंने कुछ पीपल के ऊपर स्टडी की, स्टूडेंट्स के ऊपर. जब उनको फाइंड आउट हुआ कि कुछ स्टूडेंट्स हैं जो कि पेरिस पब्लिक स्कूल से प्रॉफिटेबल नहीं हो रहे थे, मतलब कुछ अच्छा रिजल्ट्स नहीं दे पा रहे थे, एंड दे वर नॉट दैट मच स्मार्ट देर, बिकॉज एवरी पर्सन इज़ डिफरेंट, एवरी पर्सनस कैपेबिलिटी इज़ डिफरेंट. तो उस हिसाब से कैसे उनको ट्रैक पे लाना है, उसके लिए उन्होंने एक नया एजुकेशन सिस्टम वो डिज़ाइन करना चाहते थे. तो उसके लिए उन्होंने अपने थॉट्स जो भी हैं या जो भी फंडामेंटल चेंजेस है कैसे हम प्रैक्टिस में ला सकते हैं, उसको उन्होंने एक बुक में डिफ़ाइन किया है, मॉडर्न आइडियाज़ अबाउट चिल्ड्रन, जो कि यहाँ पे बताया हुआ है कि कुछ लोगों को लगता था कि ये एक फिक्स क्वांटिटी है जो कि इंडिविजुअल का इंटेलेक्ट बताता है और जिसको हम इंक्रीज़ नहीं कर सकते हैं. बट ये बहुत ही गलत थिंकिंग है, बहुत गलत ही हमारे माइंड में ऐसा सेट हुआ है. ये इसको हमें अवॉइड करना चाहिए, क्योंकि हम प्रैक्टिस से, ट्रेनिंग से, इन सब चीज़ों से, हमारे अटेंशन से हमारी मेमोरी को इंक्रीज़ कर सकते हैं, हमारे जजमेंट को चेंज कर सकते हैं, और हम जो भी हम कल थे हम हमेशा उससे बेहतर हो सकते हैं. तो इज़न्ट इट द ब्यूटीफुल पार्ट ऑफ दिस बुक टू गेट टू नो हाउ it is letting you know that people has studied on various group of people. Maybe there are different people who have judged or observed these things. Like everyone is different, but it's not like you can't do anything. You can, but you need some extra attention, you need some more experienced people, you may need some training, you may need some practice, but definitely you can do those things. Coming to the next part, who is right? Today, most experts agree that it's not either or. It's not nature or nurture, genes or environment. From conception on, there is a constant give and take between the two. In fact, as Gilbert Gottlieb, an eminent neuroscientist, put it, not only do genes and environment cooperate as we develop, but genes require input from the environment to work properly. At the same time, scientists are learning that people have more capacity for lifelong learning and brain development than they ever thought. Of course, each person has a unique genetic endowment. People may start with different temperaments and different aptitudes, but it's clear that experience, training, and personal effort take them the rest of the way. Robert Sternberg, the present day guru of intelligence, writes that the major factor in whether people achieve expertise it is not some fixed prior ability but purposeful engagement. Or as his forerunner Binet recognized, it's not always the people who start out the smartest who end up the smartest. तो बहुत ही ब्यूटीफुल बात इसमें बताई गई है कि लोगों का कहना होता है कि ये नेचर के ऊपर डिपेंड करता है या नर्चर, कि आप लोगों को कैसे ग्रूम करते हो, या फिर आपका जो जीन है या आपको कैसा इन्वायरमेंट मिला है आप उस हिसाब से डेवलप करते हो. इट डिपेंड्स, it has an impact on what you do or what you are doing or what you are, but it's not the fixed thing. You can change all those things. और ये सब चीज़ आप लर्निंग से कर सकते हैं. आपकी कैपेसिटी जो है, आपको खुद ही नहीं पता होता कि आपकी कैपेसिटी कितनी होती है. देयर इज़ ऑलवेज अ चांसेस ऑफ मोर. और जो हमारा ब्रेन डेवलपमेंट है, इट कैन बी मोर देन व्हाट यू आर थिंकिंग. तो इस तरीके से, जैसे कि जो रॉबर्ट स्टर्न है उन्होंने भी यही बताया, जो कि गुरु ऑफ इंटेलिजेंस माने जाते हैं, कि ये हमारी कोई फिक्स्ड प्रायर एबिलिटी नहीं होती है. इट डिपेंड्स कि आपने क्या पर्पसफुल आपने इंगेजमेंट किया, आप उस चीज़ पे कैसे लगे हुए हैं, आपका कमिटमेंट कैसा है उस चीज़ के लिए. तो इस तरीके से हमेशा वो स्मार्ट नहीं होता जिसने स्टार्ट स्मार्टली क्या है, द वन हु end up the smartest is the one who is the really smart people. So ये आज हमने एक चैप्टर इसका कंप्लीट किया है, वाई डू पीपल डिफर, और इसमें बहुत अच्छी लर्निंग्स हमें मिली है कि हमारा जो माइंड सेट है इट्स द फिक्स, कि अगर हम खुद को चेंज नहीं करना चाहते हैं तो ये वहीं रहने वाला है. बट इन केस इफ़ यू आर चेंजिंग द इट डिफरेंटली, यू आर रीडिंग द थिंग्स, you are just learning new things, you are experiencing different things, you are just engaging yourself to learn more, get more, then you would always be a different people than what you were yesterday. Okay, so I think you would have learned these things. We'll be continuing to the next one in a different video. Thank you. Bye bye. Have a good day. Enjoy your life.